And if we do bring you back, God willing, we somehow bring you back from death, from cardiac arrest, before there's any lasting brain trauma or anything like that, you're going to have broken ribs, whole 9 yards of just insane things that are going to be wrong with you. And that's not even counting what caused your cardiac arrest. It could have just been old age. For all I know, it was your time to go. And I don't say that to families. I should, at some point, I should start telling them that. Like, hey, are you sure she wanted you to rip up her DNR or anything? Are you sure she's a fighter?
It all starts with a single question asked to an anonymous caller. What do you think happens when we die? And from there, the conversation goes in completely unexpected directions. Some speak with certainty, others with doubt. Some are still trying to make sense of it all. I'm Zach Ansell, and this is When We Die Talks, a podcast about death, meaning, and how that shapes the way we live. This podcast was born from my own fears around death and the need to talk about it. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. I'm glad you're here. This episode is brought to you by The Death Deck. Want to talk to your family members about the future but don't know how to start? The Death Deck is a lively game that uses multiple choice questions and a dose of humor to help start conversations about death, dying, and illness. Learn new and interesting things about your friends and family members while becoming prepared for the future. And new this fall, the Death Deck introduces the Dementia Deck, a planning tool to talk about the type of care and treatment you'd want if you were living with dementia. All Death Deck products are available at thedeathdeck.com. Hey, welcome back or welcome here if this is your first time. One thing I often think about is what it does to a person to see death up close on a regular basis. Not as an abstract idea, but as something you're walking into on an ordinary day at work and how that changes what you pay attention to. That's what this call is. This week's caller is an EMT, and what you'll hear isn't a big philosophical discussion as much as a practical one. What actually happens in an emergency, what certain procedures really look like, and what matters most when things are moving fast and people are scared. We spend a good amount of time on DNRs and end-of-life wishes, not in a hypothetical way, more like if you don't want certain things done to your body, you need the people around you to know that, and you need it documented. Because in the moment, love and panic can override what someone said they wanted. There are a few moments in this call that are really blunt and real, so take care of yourself while you listen. But it's also the kind of conversation that makes you think, okay, I should talk about this with the people in my life. All right, let's get into the call. I hope you enjoy.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty all right. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, I thought the idea was kind of neat. But, hey, I have a unique perspective considering my job and all and what I do for a living. So
yeah, for sure.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity here.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that most intrigued me about your application was your profession. And it feels very secretive right out of the gate. We'll talk about it more, of course. But maybe just to kind of kick things off, you kind of said a little bit about it there, but maybe just briefly, you could let me know why you even wanted to have a call or a conversation about death. It's not something that a lot of people really want to talk about.
I mean, that's why, honestly, because not a lot of people want to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's why I want to have that conversation. Death is for me, it's such a normal part of life. And I know that's such a weird thing to say.
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but do you want to maybe mention what your profession is there? We could maybe leave it hanging, but maybe it helps to give some context, although I like the mystery of it.
No, I'm an EMT. I have been a firefighter before that, so I'm kind of used to it.
Yeah.
Death is like the one constant in my job.
Mm.
The funny thing, when I was going through EMT school, which I did complete about a year ago now, I was the black cloud.
Mm.
So I was doing EMT school in middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. And if you know anything about Pennsylvania, not a lot happens, especially out in like the place I was. And I was in a pretty smack dab central Pennsylvania. And the thing about central Pennsylvania, they say, is there's realistically only two things people do there: drugs and each other. Mm. And I'll be honest with you, that is just true. That is entirely right.
Okay.
It's a strange little town. It's a strange little area where nothing necessarily happens, but when stuff does happen, it's like never good. Mm. So when I got on the ride-alongs and I started doing all my shifts and stuff to go and get my EMT every time. And this was even before trauma season. And, you know, trauma season's in spring because everyone likes to go out and party and drive their nice cars, their motorcycles and stuff. Trauma season is probably my least favorite time of the year. But even without that, every single time someone died on my shift.
Oh.
I wasn't even an EMT yet. I was just there for the experience and because I needed the hours to go and get my certifications. Every single shift, someone died. Someone was either shot, stabbed, ran in their car into the, I actually have a pretty interesting story about that last one, but like ran their car off the side of the road, something like that happened. And I got so desensitized to it that I didn't even really start thinking about it as death. I just started thinking about it as this like, well, I guess that's that then. And we got to go clean up now.
Yeah. I don't want to, I mean, I hate to say that that's a wonderful setup, but that sounds callous or wrong in some way, but no, it's a very interesting setup for sure. I don't want to cut you off because I'm like, oh man, I'm so interested. And so usually I don't even ask questions, you know, in that first little part. I just kind of want to get like a little bit of an idea. But I'm like, oh yeah, we are already like a freight train. We're ready to start kind of jumping into this. So I'm going to pull us back for a second. I do think it's very interesting to have this perspective that you have. That is, you said it straight out. And it's one of the first things that I wrote down is death is the one constant in your job. And so I feel like that's a great setup for this conversation because that's so different than probably 99.9% of people. So I'm so excited to dive into that. But so maybe to just kind of get to know you slightly, I usually ask where you're calling from, you know, city, state-ish, and then your favorite book and why. And then we can jump back into the conversation because I'm really excited for it.
Oh, man. Great. Yeah. So, hi, I'm calling from, at the moment, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Though I've lived, going to get the short story. I've lived in, born in Germany, moved to the USA, Indonesia, South Africa. I'll say about 9 countries.
Wow.
9 countries growing up.
A world traveler. Or not even traveler, a world liver.
Not by choice. Just putting that out there.
When you're a kid, you don't really have much choice, right?
Yeah. Military family and all that doesn't really make moving much of a choice. And, you know, my dad's in the State Department right now, and so I don't see him ever, and it's just kind of part of life for me. I like moving. I like being other places often and frequently because it's like, wow, I don't know. I don't like being held down one spot, which is what makes Nashville kind of weird for me.
Okay.
Like, I saw an opportunity with Nashville, and I took it. Like, I'm living with one of my best friends over the last half decade.
Okay.
And, I mean, this came out of nowhere for me, and you know, I was like, I need to get out of Pennsylvania because Pennsylvania makes me miserable because it's Pennsylvania, as I'm sure you can understand.
Yeah, based on your description.
As a young person going from like DC, right, which love DC to death, one of my favorite cities. Going from DC to Pennsylvania where nothing happens was a little rough for me.
That's a difference. What about your favorite book and why?
God, that's a difficult one.
I know.
I grew up, and this is another big constant for me in my life, was the Percy Jackson books.
Oh, okay.
And those were what made me want to, like, start reading. They made me want to, like, read better. I like the Percy Jackson books. I haven't come back to them in quite some time. And I guess the most recent book, and my all-time favorite, if that's what we're really asking, is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Hunter S. Thompson is an idol of mine. I think that man is just an incredible author. He makes me want to write better as well, because I am a journalist, freelancer here and there. So like Hunter S. Thompson being the whole gonzo journalism guy, for me, is just incredible. I like gonzo journalism. It's my kind of thing. And Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is such a surreal book the first time you read it that it's like, wow, this happened. There was this guy. He absolutely did all of this. And the entire time he was on like 18 different drugs at once. I mean, he's just an incredible author and an incredible journalist.
Oh, that's awesome. I haven't read it, but you're making it very intriguing to read. Thank you for that recommendation. And I'm really excited for us to get into this conversation. And so let's just kick the conversation off with, what do you think happens when we die? You
want me to be honest with you? I kind of know what happens at least when I died.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. What did you say?
Yeah, when I died.
Okay, now you're at you didn't tell me about that part either in the application.
I
Okay.
I wanted to leave that for a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, nice.
I felt you would appreciate it.
I did very much.
I was at a very low point in my life, as a lot of my patients are. I just been broken up with. I was moving to Pennsylvania for this guy. It was pretty rough, and so I made a mistake. I died in my bathtub apparently for a few minutes. I got Narcan. They were like, "Oh yeah, man, you died. What did you take?" And I talked to the nice paramedic and a few other things, and him just being there and being so willing to like sit there and listen. And like, I get it, it's his job.
Yeah.
It's my job too to listen. Like, that is a massive part of my job, is listening to people.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it.
Okay.
It's trying to think of how to put words into this, because I don't talk about this often. And like, there are maybe 3 people who I've spoken to about this: my therapist, my best friend, and like, obviously the paramedics. And I don't really count them because it's their job to be there. And so,
Yeah, tight circle.
Yeah, there was nothing. And I'm not sure if it's because I wasn't like brain dead or anything, but there was nothing. And then I woke up and there was there's just someone standing over me. And it was a weird experience, because like, obviously when someone's standing over you in your bathtub, you're not, it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Guys, what's happening? I still don't know who called. I'll be honest. I don't know who called. I don't know how they found me or how they got into my apartment. It was a weird experience, and not really something I'd care to repeat anytime soon, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, just kind of being in that space, it felt, for me, it was incredibly lonely, and that might be different for other people. I was, at the time, incredibly lonely. I was at probably the lowest point in my life. I'd make that argument. And so, like, I don't know. Maybe it's different for other people. I don't know. I'm not particularly religious, not anymore. Yeah. I haven't been for quite some time. Going to a Catholic high school will do that to you. But I think when you die, there is something. I think there is some kind of afterlife.
Okay.
I'm not sure what kind of afterlife is up there, It's, who knows? I don't know what happens. Okay. I just know it happens. And I know that it's like something that we need to talk about more. Death itself, anyways. Because like, death itself, this is one of my peeves in the job, is, say you're 95. You have issues, you have a lot of pre-existing health conditions, high blood pressure, dementia, whole 9 yards. And you have a massive heart attack, or you have a massive stroke or something, and you go into cardiac arrest in the hospital. You have a DNR. Say some estranged family member takes you off that DNR because you're a fighter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's something I've seen in my job.
Ugh.
And I feel it's because people just don't, I guess they aren't as exposed to death as I am. And in a way that feels, I don't want to say selfish, that just feels strange to me.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, death happens to everyone. It's going to happen to you at some point.
Totally.
It could happen today. It could happen tomorrow. As soon as we end this call, you could just keel over. I know that's like really morbid.
No, I was going to say, I love that you're saying it, because I say this sometimes to my friends and I think I freak them out. I say this to callers sometimes, and it's because of the context of the call. It's less scary.
Yeah.
But I often am like, I could get hit by a car today or tomorrow. There's no guarantees there. And that is one of many things.
Right.
Totally.
For no reason.
That would make for a great episode, maybe.
No reason. So it's like, people need to understand that death it happens. And there's really nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Now, believe me, I can do chest compressions for 30 minutes on Mima.
Yeah.
While she's, keeled over in her chair, and we have to move her to the floor and everything, because Mima is a fighter and things like that. And like, I can do that. I don't like doing it.
Yeah.
Because even if we bring you back, you're going to be in the most pain you've ever felt in your life.
Yeah, it's not necessarily, I was going to say, it's not very nice on the body. And I've also heard it's not like, I don't want to say successful, but it's not like, 99% of the time it works.
Yeah, no. I mean, and if we do bring you back, God willing, we somehow bring you back from death.
Yeah.
From cardiac arrest, before there's any lasting brain trauma or anything like that. you're going to have broken ribs, whole 9 yards of just insane things that are going to be wrong with you.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting what caused your cardiac arrest. It could have just been old age.
Yeah.
For all I know, it was your time to go. And I don't say that to families. I should, at some point, I should start telling them that. Like, hey, are you sure she wanted you to rip up her DNR or anything?
Yeah.
Are you sure she's a fighter?
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, she's 96 and doesn't know where she is.
Yeah, a little bit different situation. I have so many questions for you.
I have as many answers as you want.
And I think
I like talking about my job.
Perfect. I think almost I want to circle back a little bit. I mean, I think we're totally going to talk more about the aspects of your job and what it looks like, because again, you know, I think it's important for people to understand, just like you said, that death is going to happen. It's going to happen to all of us. And we have separated ourselves so much that there's this weird, and I talk about this a lot on here, that we've just kind of made death the enemy. And then that puts ripping up a DNR. Yeah. It's, oh yeah, death is a bad thing, so I'm going to rip this up. And it's like, yeah, but you're saying all these things can happen. But before we kind of jump to that, what I want to come back to is you really kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop at the very beginning with you saying that you died. I was not expecting that, but it was almost like there's this kind of clash of these thoughts where you said that there was nothing. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, when I think of what I think happens when we die, it is nothing, like all the kind of very technical things. And then the synapses stop firing, we stop breathing, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then it's just over. And so I thought that's where you were going at the start. And then you kind of came back and you even said something like, it's not a place that you want to go back to. But then you came back with, you do think that there is something. And so I was like, oh, that's really interesting, because that's not exactly what I thought you were saying. So is there a way to describe that? Or maybe I'm misunderstanding?
No, the best way I can describe it is just crushing loneliness.
Okay.
That's what I felt. Genuinely, that is the best way I can describe it.
Okay.
It's just crushing feeling of nothing. And again, I almost guarantee it's linked to how I felt mentally at that time.
That's interesting, because I have had other people say similar things to that.
It was, again, I was at probably the lowest point in my life, like bar none.
Yeah.
Lowest point in my life. And the loneliness, that crushing feeling, I almost guarantee it was because, like, I did feel alone, and I was alone at the time.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
I think, like, I was deeply in love with this guy, you know, and for God's sake, man, I turned down a lot of really good opportunities to go to Pennsylvania. That sucked. I turned it down to go to a liberal arts college in middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. I turned down the Coast Guard Academy. Mm-hmm. For some context, my dad is a West Point grad. His dad was in the Air Force in Vietnam. His dad was a POW in World War II.
Oh, wow. There's a lineage.
It's a generational thing. And the Coast Guard Academy, being like the most difficult one to get into, was huge for me. And I turned it down because I was in love. You know, and we do stupid shit when we're in love.
We do stupid shit, but it's also, I mean, we do stupid, we can say it's stupid shit, but I think when we really look at the scope of things, what we do in life, like love is probably one of the best things that we actually do, you know? And of course, I went to the University of Oregon, much different than what you're talking about. Not very prestigious or anything, but like, that's not something that's really going to be remembered about me. I honestly don't really think much will be remembered about me. And I don't mean that in a cynical, dark way or anything. I just think just in the logistics of life and the timeline and all that stuff, realistically, my memory won't live much past when I'm around. I know you kind of said that you don't really know, but is there any maybe hopes or thoughts around what that is?
I hope there is some kind of higher power. Deep down, I do hope so.
Yeah.
And I don't consider myself religious, but I do hope there is something out there after we die. I hope it's not just that, the end.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I guess the other question I have off of that is, you know, is there a fear around death? I mean, you've talked about this experience with dying.
Oh,
yes.
my God.
Okay. Because I was going to say, you have this experience with dying.
There's an enormous fear of death.
Yeah.
Everyone's afraid of death. Oh, if they say they're not afraid of death, I'm sorry, they're lying to you. There are two constants in the world, and I remember this quote fondly. There are two constants, death and taxes, and you can't really escape either of them. Despite how hard you try, you will never be able to escape the long arm of the IRS or something inevitably coming up and just biting you.
Yeah.
You're going to bite it at some point.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. And you don't have to necessarily be afraid of it, like terrified of it.
Yeah.
You can accept that death is going to be something that comes for you. You can accept all that. And it's not like I've accepted it. I've gotten comfortable with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, yeah, cool. Happened. I need to go and write about this now in graphic detail.
Yeah. It's interesting hearing that, because I think a lot of people would think that, oh, you're around death, so, it's not a big deal. I would also say a lot of people who come on this, who I do calls with, say they aren't afraid of death. And I would say I have a similar thought to you. Is I honestly think everybody's afraid of death. I think it's biologically a feature of being a human.
And I want to add on to that from like a medical perspective.
Yeah.
You know what we're told to look for?
What?
With like severely sick patients? A fear of impending doom. This is a real symptom, is impending doom.
Interesting.
I've had it happen to me before. We were transporting this guy, relatively stable. He said he had some chest pains. We're like, cool, your blood pressure's a little high. I can't read an EKG or interpret one, so I leave that to the paramedics. That's their job. And this was when I was doing my ride-alongs. And like halfway through, he was looking fine, from what I gathered, because the paramedic that I was with in the back was not freaking out and, was not telling me, hey, I need you to spike this right now, or hey, I need you to get the med bag and go in there and get some stuff. He was fine, and fine enough to transport straight from his home without having to stabilize on scene. And halfway through, this is about a 30-minute transfer because, middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. He's like, he looks at me. I'll never forget this. He looks me dead in the face and says, I think I'm about to die.
Mm.
And not even 10 seconds later, he flatlines, like full code. And like when he said that, I saw the paramedic look at me. Like, he gave me that look of like, hey, it's about to get real. You need to like, I don't want to say lock in, but like you need to, pretty much you need to lock in right now.
Interesting.
And another fun fact, a little tidbit, no one dies in an ambulance. Legally speaking, nobody dies in an ambulance.
It's when they arrive.
Scene, you're either dead on scene, DRT, dead right there, or you get declared at the hospital. But nobody dies in an ambulance.
Interesting. Is there a reason for it?
It is.
There has to be a reason.
Nightmare.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You die in an ambulance, we have to take that out of service for however long. There has to be an investigation. It's a problem.
Interesting.
So yeah, nobody dies in an ambulance. Nobody will ever die in an ambulance.
That's wild.
But if they do die in an ambulance, someone screwed up.
That's interesting. I'm going to go back to the impending doom because that's a really fascinating story because I think, and this is a terrible, terrible comparison, but playing sports growing up, I remember like breaking my collarbone at a young age. And I don't even really think I knew what my collarbone was. I'd heard of it. And I just remember like just knowing and telling my parents, like, I broke my collarbone. We need to go to the hospital, or, we need to go to the doctor, whatever we need to do. But it's what you described as that look. You could just tell. Yeah.
So, and there is a difference. And I've noticed this. If they're fine, like completely fine, all things considered, you're not, XABCs are fine. No external bleeding that hasn't been controlled. Your airway's clear, you're breathing, and you're circulating, right? And you look at them while being fine and you say, I'm going to die. That's when we get concerned. But if you're like stubbed your toe, because we do get toe pain calls, and those are never fun because, those waste our time, they waste city resources, whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
It's like, sure you are, man. Let's get you to the hospital now. Because there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between someone freaking out and someone genuinely feeling that sense of impending doom.
Yeah.
Which is actually, I bothered looking it up, and yeah, it's heart attacks. Heart attacks will cause a sense of impending doom.
Huh. You just know, deep down somehow.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And anaphylaxis, that too.
Okay. That's wild. I mean, I guess now we are kind of more into the medical side of things. Yeah, how has that kind of played into your thoughts around death? You talked about when you were in Pennsylvania, like every call, or not every call, but like every day, there was like a death.
Every shift.
Every
Yep,
shift. Yeah,
every
every
shift I
shift.
went on.
How does that play into your fears around death, but also just like how you look at life? Because again, that is so different than the majority of people.
Death for me is just, it happens. There's nothing that I can do to stop it.
Yeah.
I can eat healthy, and I am eating healthier. I have all my doctor's appointments scheduled for like a few weeks out. Cool. It's the new year, you know. I have insurance. Great. And like I can delay it as much as I can, but at some point I'm going to be in the back of that ambulance.
Yeah.
I don't know when.
Yep.
I don't know how. I just know it's going to happen.
It's something that we're all going to face. And yeah, I think that's especially why I'm trying to do this, because I've felt in ways strange, like I think about it more than anybody else. And maybe not anybody else, but I think about it a lot more than most people. Probably not more than you. But and you know,
what's funny is I don't even really think about it.
Yeah.
When I'm not at work, I'm pretty decent at compartmentalizing. When I'm not at work, I don't think about it.
You probably have to some extent, right? You have to compartmentalize it. It'd be overwhelming not to.
Yeah, it would. And there are people who get into this line of work and they see it happen the first time, or they see like a traumatic incident, or God forbid, they see a PEDS case and they just realize they're not cut out for it.
Yeah.
And like, I'll admit, I probably have some form of post-traumatic stress here and there. I'm an insomniac, you know, I've got a whole plethora of issues. Cool, great. Who doesn't? Right? I just don't think about it when I'm not at work.
Yeah.
It's genuinely not something that I think about at all unless I'm forced to. If I am forced to think about it outside of work, then I'm working again.
And who wants to do that?
I like my time off. My time off is sacred. I will not answer your phone. If you call me for work reasons and I'm not working, I more than likely will not answer that phone call. And it's not because I don't want to. It's that my time is sacred to me. I wouldn't change what I do for the world.
I like that. I like hearing that.
But at the same time, I'm not coming in on my day off because someone got sick. You can go and have someone else do that who needs the overtime more than I do.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm living fairly comfortably right now.
Do you see yourself doing this forever? And forever is a long time, but, you know, for the foreseeable future, maybe.
Yeah. My options right now are offensive cybersecurity contracting, which that was not fun. They paid well, but man, I felt miserable doing it. Stayed in this, and I'm looking at getting my advanced EMT very soon. I'm starting that course in, I think, about a week.
Oh, awesome.
I have this pathological need to help people.
Are there things that you feel like people should know about death and dying that they don't?
I think people should know, especially the people who rip up DNRs and are like, Nemo's a fighter, Peepaw's a fighter, and stuff like that. I want them to know that, like, it's going to happen. It might not happen. If we bring them back, it might not happen immediately, but chances are it's going to happen on the way to the hospital, or it's going to happen in the hospital.
Or a week later, but yeah, it's not going to be.
It doesn't. And if it is a week later, they're going to be in extreme pain on a bunch of tubes all the time.
Yeah.
Constant monitoring. That's not living. Not for them.
Yeah. I've referenced this book a couple times. It's called Die Wise. And he, in that book, kind of talks about in those situations, you're not prolonging living, you're prolonging dying. You know, it's not what you think. And I think we have this idea that we have all these medical advancements, and we can do amazing things. But at some point we are going to die. It's, you know, I love the Meemaw and Peepaw, like they're not going to live forever. It's not going to work. And so, yeah, I think that's definitely, I can't imagine you're just sitting there biting your tongue, right? You know, it's like, that's not what they wanted. That's not what they wanted.
I've wanted to say some stuff.
Yeah.
And I've gotten really close on multiple occasions. I've gotten extremely close to being like, they didn't want this. And something I do, and I has drawn some ire from certain people in who I've worked with before.
Yeah.
They need to sit there and watch the entire thing. You watch me break her ribs.
Yeah, you can't leave the room.
I don't want you to leave the room. I want you to stay, and I want you to see what you did, see what you're doing.
Yeah.
This is your doing. And if they come back, they ask why, I'm going to tell them it was you. And I've done it before. Now, this person did not have dementia. I'm going to keep it, HIPAA classified.
Absolutely.
Everything.
Absolutely.
She was like 80 something, had a DNR because she had pre-existing health issues. Family member comes in, is like, hey, no, you have to bring her back. And we are legally required by law to do that. If some family member says that, we have to do it.
That's so wild.
Can't stop that. And we got ROSC. We got return of spontaneous circulation. And we got ROSC. And she asked why. And I told her pretty explicitly, hi, my name's so-and-so. I'm an EMT. I'm here to, I just brought you back. Do you know where you are? Do you know what your name is, et cetera? I have to see if they're alert and oriented. And she was like, why? Why did you bring me back? And I told her I had to. Legally required by law, I am supposed to do that because we suddenly did not have a DNR on file and we couldn't confirm it. So you want to blame someone? Blame them.
Okay.
And man.
So I'm super curious. Is there a way to prevent that? Is there any way to prevent a family member from ripping it up, from bypassing it? Like, is there anything that you can do?
Me personally, no. There's nothing I can do. Multiple copies. But outside of that, no. If they want you brought back, we are required by law to bring you back.
Maybe I'll get it tattooed on my chest.
See, I've been tempted to do that. I actually have plans to do that.
Really?
And get a physician sign it. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That doesn't sound like a terrible idea. Because I wouldn't want that, someone breaking my ribs. And I'm glad that you mentioned that it is not a pleasant process, because I've heard that
it's the most violent thing you can do to a person. Ugh. That is my genuine belief. It is one of the most violent things I can do in the medical field.
And that is not the perception for the masses, right? We see the little like training dummies, right? Oh yeah. You just do it to the beat and then, like whatever, like.
You know what you don't feel with the training dummies? You don't feel the ribs crack.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
You don't hear them, and you'll hear it too. It is a distinct sound. Ugh. It sounds like little, those plastic wrapped ball things that are like filled with air?
Yeah.
And like you put it in with your packages and, that's kind of what it sounds like.
Ugh.
And I know that's like a really screwed up thing to say and just drop on someone at almost 6 in the evening, but like that's what it sounds like.
Well, I'm not going to look at that stuff the same anymore.
Like, that's what it sounds like. And it's a weird sound. And it's an even weirder feeling.
Yeah, I bet.
Because the first time I had to do CPR, I'll tell you the first thing, I was not ready for it. I was not doing full compressions and, like, good compressions.
Well, because you wouldn't imagine that's what you'd have to do, right? If you're going into it for your first time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I saw the paramedic, like, looked at me and was like, you need to be doing deeper compressions, like, right now. And I was like,
are you sure?
All right. And he was like, yeah, if you start cracking ribs, you'll know you're doing well. Because effectively what CPR is you are pushing their sternum down to manually start their heart.
Mm.
It's like trying to jumpstart a car in a way.
With your hands.
Or no, not jumpstart, no, push start. Start. There you go. Push start a car.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's not a great feeling, especially if you're not ready for it that first time. And I even think a lot of people who do those CPR courses, they don't know that. So they're not going to do adequate chest compressions, adequate depth, none of that, which is unfortunate.
Well, I'm glad that you've shared that with all of us now. I heard that in a class that I took last year and I was like, oh yeah, I had no idea. And so yeah, it's, I'm on the Pacific Coast, so it's not quite as late for me. And who knows when people listen to this, what time they'll be listening to it. And yeah, it's graphic, but like you said, it's an important thing to know because is that really what you want to be doing to your 80-year-old grandma or whatever? So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. I do have one last question for you if you're up for it.
Hey, I'm not doing anything else.
Perfect.
So I am.
So what's one thing you still want to experience in this life?
I want to travel the Middle East. I had a friend in Syria. He's currently in Myanmar right now as a foreign volunteer with the rebel forces, I guess is the best way I can put it. I look up to him quite a bit because he graduated high school and immediately, like he was 18, he went to Syria to go and fight for the Syrian Democratic Forces. And I believe he was in I can't quite recall what group he was in and part of, but now he's an instructor. He's a sniper instructor for, I believe, the Kareni Defense Forces. Okay. I can't quite recall. And I'd like to visit Syria. I'd like to visit Palestine. I'd like to visit Lebanon, especially. But Syria has always been very up there for me.
Wow.
When it comes to like where I want to go.
That's awesome. I love you're an anomaly. How many people do you think would say, oh yeah, my dream is to go to Syria or Lebanon, Palestine? That's awesome.
I think there's such a rich history there.
Yeah, for sure.
And like once everything kind of dies down there a little, I do plan on visiting Syria. I plan on visiting at some point Damascus. Damascus is like, honestly, number one on my bucket list of places I'd like to visit.
Wow.
I understand quite a bit of Arabic.
Oh, wow.
I credit that to having spent some time in Indonesia, where I do actually still understand and somewhat speak Bahasa, which is
Look at
a
you.
pretty interesting language. Hey, I lived there. I didn't really have a choice.
But still, so impressive.
I'd like to visit Damascus. I'd like to visit the Kurdish areas because I want to learn Kurdish. I mean, for God's sake, I live in Nashville. Nashville, little known fact, is the Kurdish capital of the USA.
Really?
There are 15,000 Kurdish people living here.
Wow.
There's a little Kurdistan, actually. I go there quite frequently for food and whatnot when I have the opportunity.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Not a lot of people know. Yeah, not a lot of people know.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I wouldn't have guessed, if someone asked me that and it's like, what city in the United States? Yeah, Nashville would not have been my guess. I don't know what my guess would have been, but Nashville wouldn't have been it.
No, absolutely. It's it's pretty funny. It's like, wow.
Yeah, that's wild. I don't know how long it's going to take for you to get out there, but when you do, I want to hear about it. I hope you message me. We'll definitely have to stay in touch. But yeah, again, I just want to send a ton of gratitude your way for doing this, for being willing to talk to a complete stranger who is just trying to figure out things about death. Go ahead.
I think that's what makes it easier for me.
That's what a lot of people have said.
You are like a complete stranger.
Yeah, I've gotten that a couple times, and I'm like, I can see how that would be easier. I think from my perspective, I'm like, yeah, but I know me, and I'm weird. Why would anybody want to talk to me? But yeah, I'm just so grateful that you're willing to jump on the call, share your stories, surprise me with your little death story. You get some sort of award for that. Thank you so much.
No, of course. Anytime, really. I feel that talking about this and kind of demystifying death does my job a service in a way, because God willing, people stop trying to keep people who shouldn't be alive.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
poor phrasing, but
yeah, no, totally. I think with all the context of what we've just talked about, I think it'll make sense, and I'll keep on trying to do what I can do to make your life easier. I don't know how well of a job I'll do, but I'll keep on trying. Well, thank you. I hope you have a good rest of your day. And let's definitely stay in touch.
100%.
All right. Well, take care.
You too.
All right. Bye. I really appreciate how this call stays in the real world of it. Not just the big idea of death, but what it looks like when death is part of the job. The practical decisions, the messy moments, the things that get done to a body in the name of saving it, even when saving it isn't what someone would have wanted. And one thing I want to continue to underline is the point the caller made about wishes. It's not enough to hope people will know what you mean. In the moment, fear and love can take over. Families can disagree, decisions get made fast, and even when someone has been clear, those wishes can still get overridden. After we stopped recording, the caller and I stayed on the phone for a bit and just talked. Like I've mentioned before, that happens a lot. Sometimes we talk about the call some more. Sometimes we talk about how to start a podcast. This time we got into movies and TV shows that actually portray life as an EMT well. The show The Pit came up and I started watching after our call. What was really interesting is how quickly it runs straight into the exact thing we'd been talking about in the call. A person's wishes are clear and the people closest to them can't tolerate it. They override it, not because they're evil, but because they're terrified. It was a really good reminder that this isn't abstract. This is the kind of situation that shows up everywhere. If this call brought up anything for you, maybe the simplest takeaway is this: talk about it with people in your life. Ask what they want. Say what you want. Then write it down. And before we go, last week I shared a little bit more about Mnemostheny, and I said I'd have a website ready. Mnemostheny is a side project I've been building. It's a way for me to help people tell their stories while they're still here to tell them. If you want to learn more, it's mnemostheny.com, and I'll drop a link in the show notes. Thanks for listening to this episode of When We Die Talks. These conversations don't offer answers, but they do open space. Space to reflect, to feel less alone, and maybe to see things a little bit differently than before. If you'd like to explore your own beliefs out loud, you can apply to be an anonymous caller at whenwedietalks.com. And if a full call feels like too much, the voicemail is always open. Leave a message at 971-328-0864 and share whatever death has stirred in your life. Listener support truly helps keep this project going. If you'd like to support the podcast, you'll find a link in the show notes. And as always, please like, share, and follow. Every bit makes a difference. Until next time, have a good life.